Welcome back, friends and new arrivals to the Adventure Tech Toyota Garage. Today we are going to begin the project of working on the FJ62 Land Cruiser here. If you haven't had a chance to take a look at some of the other videos on this channel, I encourage you to take a peek around, see if there's some stuff that might interest you. We've got everything from Toyota Truck Tech, Tundra Tech, Land Cruiser Tech, as well as, you know, some trip rides and trip reports and things like that. Glad you're here. And this is going to be a two-part series. We're going to talk about the teardown of the front axle on this truck, and then we'll follow it up on part two with the reinstallation. We're just basically going to rebuild the front axle on this FJ62 Land Cruiser, and it's a 1980, what is it, an 89 I think, and in the process, we're going to install a new set of 4.88 gears, probably from Yukon Gear and Axle, or maybe Nitro. And we're going to install a matching ARB air locker to match the rear end. Stick around, check out part two whenever I can get that one up, and stay tuned. Now, just for a quick walk around orientation of this here truck. This truck belongs to my 22-year-old son. And being a kid who grew up in a 40 series Land Cruiser, he's kind of always wanted one himself. And my, oh my, it was really hard to find one. You know what the market's like this day and age. It's like every cruiser that's out there is either a complete and total rusted, 60 series anyways, probably the same across the board. It's either a completely rusted disaster basket case, or they want $25,000, $35,000 for them. And when we finally found this one here local in Utah, man, I went out and took a good look at it and took it for a test drive, and the guy was asking a pretty damn fair price for it, to be honest with you. So kind of intended to do a walk around on this truck back when we first got it. I say we, I'm kind of a bit of a caretaker custodian of it, but it totally belongs to my son. It's his, but boy, I can't wait till I get a 60 series. I'm probably gonna go with a 60 series instead of the 62. Of course, the 62 here's got the electric windows, automatic transmission, kind of some of the more creature comforts that you find in the later model. I say a good price. He did get a good price on this. It has some things that need some work done on it, but like I said, I intend to pick up a 60 at some point, but I never plan to buy a truck that's going to cost me anywhere over 10 grand. I'm much more of the type that's going to buy a $3,500 to $6,500 truck and then build it up and do the repairs that need to be done on it myself, because it's just, I cannot believe how much people are asking for these trucks these days. It's just astronomical, and I don't comprehend it, but anyway, so when we found this truck, it has quite a few upgrades. You can see the ARB roof rack that's on it. It's got a suspension, a new suspension on it. It's got a shackle reversal on it, and a few other upgrades. The paint really isn't in bad shape. It's pretty good. It was painted at some point in its life. And it does have a little bit of surface rust and stuff that we're going to work through. And Taylor's going to practically take it down and get some professional help on it, because there's a little bit of repairs that maybe need to be done, finished up or done a little bit better. But the main reason he got such a good price on this thing is because the dude, he went to the time and the effort to install the 488 rear gears and put the ARB air locker in the rear, and he never got around to installing the front. So it's kind of a halfway complete classic Toyota 4x4. And so, you know, for the price we got, I keep saying wait, for the price that he got it for, I kind of negotiated the price a little bit. I felt like it's a pretty reasonable mod that we're going to have to finish off for the price he got it for. So that's what we're going to try to do. We're going to try to bring this damn truck up to fully functional capability, because even when I test drove it, you know, as soon as you put it in four-wheel drive, the front has the stock, I'm pretty sure 411 gear ratio in it when it's connected to the rear. does not do well. Even just in the parking lot, it's going to be chirping the tires. So yeah, technically, if he was in a big pinch, he could kind of get out of a situation in four-wheel drive, but as far as being on a trail or high speeds or on snow or anything else like that, totally out of the question, which has been kind of a shame. But that's the type of scenario where it offered the ability to pick this truck up for what he got it for, and I'm happy to do the work with him. And we'll see how much I can actually talk him into coming out here and rolling up his sleeves and getting some work done on it. But can't wait to get this thing out on the trail, and hopefully this summer we'll have lots of opportunities to go out and do some wheeling all around our beloved Utah. All right, taking a look under the hood here. It did have the ARB air compressor installed, one actuator, and air line going all the way back to the rear axle. So we're gonna have to run a second valve, solenoid, what do you call that? Valve, and bring it up here, plug it into this spot right here. That will come complete with the ARB air locker kit, and we'll have to plumb some hosing back down to the front as well. He is currently running a Optima yellow top, decent battery, but you can see we've got some work to do on the electrical distribution side of the house. So we'll probably do similar to what we've done in the 100 series Land Cruiser, put in some sort of a power bank somewhere that we're gonna find somewhere we can mount up a good power distribution block and get things going from there. And here we can see a definite downside to aluminum spacers. Man, that thing's damn near seized onto the hub, I guess. Whew, it could be a trick to get off. Maybe require a little bit of heat. All right, now as for an overview of what we're trying to achieve, really primarily is the disassembly. We need to get that third member, the differential, out from the axle housing so that we can throw it in a bucket and take it over to Cruiser Outfitters. They're going to install the new gear set it up for us properly with the right pattern, and install the ARB air locker. While we're at it, we are also going to just go ahead and completely rebuild each side of these knuckles. Haven't done a ton of these. I've done a handful of front axle rebuilds, knuckle rebuilds on these old vintage Toyotas, and man, it's a pretty fun job. You know, it gets kind of technical, but nothing too serious. Don't need any super special tools. Primarily probably just I think a 54 millimeter socket to get to the big nut inside there. Other than that, rather than bore you with every single detail of what we're gonna pull off as I do it, you can just see, we've got to get this disassembled. We're gonna take off the caliper, rotor off, pull the hub off, slide the axles out. You cannot get that third member out until you uninstall both side axles. So while we're at it with that, you know, the inner part of the knuckle here will come off, the steering arms. Looks like Taylor could probably use some new tie rod ends here. And essentially just get it fully stripped down and cleaned up, obviously. So I'll show you, it'll be a lot more interesting when we're actually putting it back together and everything's clean and tidy, but that's the effort and that's what we're trying to achieve today. a real mess. We're gonna have to seal that up real nice on the reinstall. Yep, we better put some new pads on while we're in here. Okay, you got the lock washer tab on the one side. 54mm socket. There we go. Lock washer looks like it's been used a time or two. That tab's broken clean off. Wonder got our washer. It's kind of our thrust washer up against our bearing. I think the front end rebuild kit that we got comes with the new bearings. I'll have to confirm that, but boom. There we go. Really lengthy process if you have a breakdown on the trail somewhere, but the right tools and nothing but time on your hands, it can be done. Nothing I can do about that. I highly encourage you to apply that PB Blaster penetrating oil to every single thing you think you're going to touch with a wrench. A good 3 days, 2 days, 3 days at a, as much time in advance as you can, a week or more. And you'd be surprised how well it works. I always am. In fact, it's like absolutely essential on many things. But if you don't, you run the risk of, in this instance, we're gonna have to get a whole new brake line right here because that rounded off, even with a line wrench, that 30-year-old fitting there, straight up rounded off. Nothing you can do about that. The only thing you can do about that is try to apply penetrating oil like I tried over there before you get into this part of this project. Well, at least the rubber line is salvaged. That would have been the easier line to replace, however, obviously, but I hate that. I hate having to change steel brake lines. Good luck trying to find, you got to buy it from the dealer or shape your own. And trying to shape your own, you run into the challenge of, down at Napa, all they want to do is have standard size. They don't want to have metric size, so that never works. And that brake line right there, probably, if it's available still, it probably is from Toyota, is going to be $35, $45. Go, a little dust shield. Big old dust shield, it's kind of cool. The cooling vent. Induction takes in some air, cools down those rotors. Pretty sweet design. And there we are, the spindle. Off she comes. Part goes at the top. You got a flat, and a flat. Okay, the thing about Burfield's is there's a flat spot on the bell part of it. So you got to rotate until the flat part lines up with the top here and the bottom there. There we go. See it? You got a flat here and a flat there. And those bad boys have to line up with the, woo, what a greasy mess. They have to line up with this space here and that space there. Okay, now, why do you suppose
This is so greasy, so oily. There's one seal that rides on this surface right here, inside right there. And that's the only thing that seals all your differential 90 weight gear oil from the grease that's in the knuckle itself. So clearly that seal gave up a while ago. We'll have to do some cleaning on this bad boy to see what kind of condition it's in. Oh, you know, I'm always amazed when you dig into these old trucks. Just, you know, it's been decades since these things were last apart, probably decades, man. And it always just kind of surprises me how well they just keep on trucking along, even when they're kind of a little bit neglected. I had a lot more success on this side using the hammering method, just tap down on the top of the studs there. The reason I couldn't on the other side is because the damn wheel spacers are sticking out so far that the studs were interfering. Couldn't do that. So anyway, keep your hand ready to catch those things and just give them some good whacks down right there. And they generally pop right out. Anyway, the bad thing is kind of, you try to do it gentle enough that you can get it effective without marring up and banging the shit out of your sweet Aizen hubs. So it's kind of a balance. To just crack that thing loose, slide it off, pull out the burr field, the axle, and then we can move into pulling off the third member. I'm probably gonna need to make a third video, so the second video will pertain to just the removal of the steering arm and the lower and up. But the disassembly of the knuckle itself, that'll have to take place on the next visit out here to the garage. So we'll probably have to do a third part to the series. Dismantling and getting the third member out, cleaning the knuckles, and then the third part will be the reinstallation, clean up reinstallation, and then the functions check, making sure that it works good. Right, join me underneath this rig. Yeah, she's leaky. She's gonna need all the seals, but we'll work on it bit by bit. Check out that U-joint while we're here. That's a pretty good shape U-joint. These are freaking massive too. One thing we're gonna have to address is this is no good. We gotta get a longer brake line on here for sure. That is not good. Not happening. There we go. Whatever. Lift it up a little bit. There we go. She wants to just flip right down. So kind of got her suspended here. There she comes in all of her glory. There you go. Not know yourself. All right. One last quick peek inside here to see what we're working with. There you go. The front cover is welded on part of the axle housing. You got a little channel right there for the teeth to slide through, top and bottom. Kind of critical on the seal, the regasket, resealing of that element, that portion right there. And you can just see right down all the way to the outside. Both sides. There you have it. Got a lot of cleanup to do. Good hell. Kind of lost track of time. It might have been four-ish hours, give or take a little bit. But fully disassembled to the point where we can get the diff out. And yeah, still a lot of work left here to get the knuckles off. So we've got our work cut out for us still yet ahead. Just to recap here, let's see. Two different sides, individual bins of hardware, spindles, calipers, hubs, burr fields. I'm gonna take these down and either get them turned. I'm gonna ask the machine shop if they can turn them, or re-machine the rotors. And while they're at it, see if they can't get that damn spacer off, and we'll get those cleaned up, and then probably, if those particular ones go back on, somehow anti-seize the shit out of the surface there. Anyway, we've got just so much cleanup to do, you can see. And this thing will get delivered over to Cruiser Outfitters, and their guy will take over from there. And they'll put in a whole new ring and pinion gear set, along with the ARB locker, which is super awesome because, I mean, it replaces the entire carrier. This here unit is a carrier. You got carrier, side gears, spider gears, I don't know, center pin, and the pinion is clear up inside there, and your ring gear. And Toyota's super unique in the way they have it set up. You've got the ability to adjust the preload and position of the ring gears up against the pinion gear. Okay, so I am intending to, on the mini truck, dive into doing my first full setup of a gear set, when I intend to put a Lock-Right quick locker inside of that little unit. But because the mini truck, it's not my main rig, and if it is a trial and error type of situation, then we'll have other means to retrieve that truck. But looking forward to getting into that a little bit more. It's not that damn hard. I mean, it's got to be done correctly, and if you don't, you're asking for trouble, and it will fail on you. But anyway, so there you go, guys. A good solid day's work, half a day's work. Yeah, take a look around the rest of the channel. There's all sorts of other content on here. Appreciate you watching this video, and stay tuned for part two, and then part 3. We'll see you on the next one.